You know, you got people that are like socializers and they just want to talk and shit. So they go like this. Oh, you want to know what's in this film? I have some bright interpretation of the film, trying to entertain you or whatever. I'm not here coming online to entertain you. I'm coming here to show you something. You know, don't listen to this video if you haven't watched Squid Game 1 through 3, because it will have spoilers. Watch it after you watch this thing. So imagine that the chief, there's like the games, and they get the people to go into the games and they start killing each other for money. Imagine that the host of those games is called the Angel of Death, which is called Hades in Greek. And imagine that all these figures with these pink suits are the army of death. So we have countries all over the world, and you got cities, you got big, large areas. And imagine that God numbers your days as a group, not just you, your city, or your country. Imagine the season of death engulfing your territory. This is the imagination. And these angels of death fall upon you. This is the idea. This is this Illuminati thinking, script writing. Imagine that reality falling upon you. All of a sudden, weird phenomena will start happening into your life. You'll meet certain people. You end up in a storyline. And all of a sudden, through greed, democracy, through greed will get a certain agenda of death flowing, right? And whoever tries to stop the democracy is not respecting that every single man, the Illuminati, right? Is in Illuminati. Every single man and woman has the right to make choices. And no man or woman should deny another man or woman the right to make own choices. However, you will pay the consequences of your choices, called action-reaction. So, when death falls upon a family, when death falls upon a city, when death falls upon whatever, do you think death gives a shit about your feelings? Right? No, death just does its work. When it's time to die, you will just fall. Death doesn't announce itself. Right? So when death on a greater scale manifests on the earth, police forces, detectives, all kinds of forces will wake up, try to stop death. If necessary, even armies will wake up to try to stop massive death from manifesting on the earth. Right? So that's a little bit the frame of mind you got to have when watching that. So you see that sometimes people last minute, are you listening to me? People last minute escape death. How does it happen? They self-sacrifice, or they sacrifice themselves for this. There's a certain moral element of how to die and not to die when the season of death appears in your life. Like a timeline, action A, action B, action C, 1, 2, 3, until the last second of breath. The last actions a man or woman could take, the man who try to preserve his own life in a selfish way, ends up dying. But that man or woman that has that selfless actions ends up being an instrument of keeping someone who make right choices alive in the end. Don't forget, in the first season of Squid Game, there was a Christian preacher on the streets preaching like, every fucking step you take is one step closer to the fires of hell. Only a real man of God, only a preacher, like street preacher, evangelism, knows that fire when it comes down, that godly fire. It doesn't negotiate, right? Death doesn't fucking negotiate with you. God doesn't negotiate with you. God doesn't care for armies. God doesn't care for police. It's a contract. Time's up. Poof, you're gone. So the moment an ordinary mortal starts fighting death, because that's what the main character is doing. The main character of the game, win the game, take the money, all he got to do is walk the fuck away. But he can't walk away. He comes back to play the games again, to again challenge death. And what happens in season 3? Death is knocking the man out. What mortal can combat death? And that's a little bit how the Illuminati works. Because it's divine instrumenting, it's untouchable. Because it's divine instrumenting. And most floor dwellers, ignorant people in their atheistic delusions and all that kind of stuff. The Bible talks about the fires of hell burning. And here in the world, we create societies that go like, oh, that's a funny, the Bible is not literal. Yeah, every fucking book is literal, except for this one book. People make up all these devices. And they go like, action reaction doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And they make these actions. And they get chained by their karma. And all of a sudden, these angels of death show up for them. And then last minute, are you worthy or not? And some escape. So if you want to learn about the cycle of death, when you want to learn about the cycle of war, if you want to learn about the cycle of the end in an Illuminati type of way, Squid Game shows you how families are broken apart. Squid Game shows you how mercilessly death can strike communities of people. What happens when death falls upon a city? What happens when death falls upon a country? And mercilessly start withdrawing your time. You can learn all about that by watching Squid Game.